warriors of Sparta! Today, our city faces her greatest enemy. The forces of the Roman Empire encircle our walls. Many of our finest brothers have fallen, defending our freedom and this great land. This day, you will honor their sacrifices and fulfill your destiny as Spartans!
Spartan Total Warrior. Creative Assembly had a unique vision for a game that was like Dynasty Warriors, but was inspired by the ancient history of the West. The story of Spartan Total Warrior is a unique story that breaks with Creative Assembly's typical mold of historically faithful games. The Total War series has been long tied to historical accuracy, at least in some respects. But the game, Spartan Total Warrior, was an idea of what would happen if you took the best warriors of the ancient world and pitted them against each other. In a story inspired by Ray Harryhausen, Spartan Total Warrior takes on a legendary perspective of what would happen if the Spartans faced off against the Roman Empire. Even though actual historical events prevented this from ever happening, the game sets a wonderful stage for how these events would play out. Spartan Total Warrior in many respects has a grandiose feel to it, along the lines of a film from the 1950s or 1960s. Like 300 Spartans or Spartacus, it has a Hollywood vibe. When the game came out in 2005, it was before 300 had come out, and that film effectively resurrected Spartans in popular culture, and redefined their image. I grew up watching 300 Spartans, and for a long time wished there would be a remake. However dated as that film is now, it's still an amazing tale of the Battle of Thermopylae, and somewhat historically accurate in the sense that it wasn't just the 300 Spartans, it was other Greek states that joined the fight at Thermopylae to stop the Persians. The film 300 Spartans actually inspired Frank Miller to create the graphic novel. I'm not gonna lie, I loved the graphic novel 300 and the film considerably. And Spartan Total Warrior kind of puts you in that place of being a Spartan soldier on the rise. The game starts out with the Roman Empire invading Spartan lands, and in this world, the Romans are quite a bit more industrialized and have large machines, where, in essence, magic and technology have kind of become intermingled to become this new type of feel and organic vibe that resonates throughout the game. In reality, Rome and Sparta never fought each other. Sparta had unfortunately lost a war against other Greek city-states, and never truly recovered its military prowess, and was thus rendered a cultural backwater that no one really had an interest in going to. And Rome continued to rise after Sparta had pretty much faded away. But in this game's storyline, something happens that allows the great powers to face off in an epic war. The game allows the players to experience this story firsthand, and not only links historical figures, but also myths and legends to this new ancient world. The story, however, takes on a life of its own and provides the player with a new world that has elements that feel like the animated Reign, with the ancient world portrayed as more considerably advanced than we once thought. The ancient world, however, was very advanced, and it took the Western world until the 19th century before we returned to their relative standard of living. But the game Spartan Total Warrior is a wonderfully smooth game that brings the player into the experience. The Spartan Total Warrior today, unfortunately, has kind of fallen out of favor, or relatively is forgotten because it was a console release as opposed to having a PC release. The game in itself is a wonderfully balanced fighter, where it kind of pits you against tons of opponents at once, and once you get the hang of the way the combat flows, it's a really fun and challenging game. It ranges in the game where you have the ability to use archery, a sword and shield combination, a spear combination, a hammer type, and also a dual-bladed type. Each weapon eventually has its own special ability that essentially, once you kill enough opponents, charges and you get to use it. So that in itself is a bit of a puzzle mechanic that allows you to win different battles in different ways. So as the game progresses, you to watch your character become more and more awesome looking as you gain equipment and armor. And also, you get to experience the ancient world, traveling to Athens, going to Troy in an effort to gather weapons and men and material to fight the Romans with. So the game only gets more epic and grandiose in the scale of the things it shows you. And if you ever have the opportunity to try this game, it is wonderful on the original Xbox. If you don't have access to an Xbox, something you can do is you can get the Dolphin emulator, which is a GameCube emulator effectively, and you can play the game on that, which gives you a pretty decent output quality anyway. But because you're not playing on the native console, you have a hard time using controls, and the gameplay suffers a little bit, but the overall visual quality kind of makes up for it. But, long story short, Spartan Total Warrior is a fantastic game. I highly suggest you try. Spartan Total Warrior is a grand attempt at trying to come up with what would happen if you pitted the greatest warriors in the ancient world against one another. Spartans with their extreme discipline and their ability to fight, and Romans with their extreme organization and their amazing unit discipline. Would have made for an amazing battle, to say the least, between the two enemy empires. But we'll never know. But Spartan Total Warrior is kind of this grand attempt at creating a story that we could all really enjoy. And when it came out for me, I absolutely loved the game. And I highly suggest if you ever have the opportunity or the time, pick it up. It's a fantastic title, and the nice thing about Xbox and PlayStation 2 titles is they're cheap. So check them out. And now I'm just going to rap a little bit about a question I'm sure none of you ever wanted to know. Would be, did Spartans have a six-pack? But what we do know from the writings of Xenophon, a former Athenian turned mercenary who fought alongside the Spartans, wrote in depth about how Spartans during their daily routines would conduct aerobic exercises. So they were incredibly fit soldiers and warriors. So that's something that definitely set them apart. But I'll leave you with that. But thank you again for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, evening, whatever it is you're doing. Bye. If you like this content, I highly suggest you check out my website, HistoricNerd.com. I also highly suggest you check out theconsoleexplosion.com. It has a number of other content providers there that generate quite a bit of good work that you might find enjoyable. If you want to say something to me directly, feel free to contact me at HistoricalNerd on Twitter.com. So feel free. Alright, thank you very much for dropping by. Have a great night, evening, or day, whatever it is you're doing. Bye. Look down. No. Oh no!
Oh, you put it down too